Senator Coons was among the group of lawmakers urging the White House to move the AGOA forum from South Africa, which eventually went ahead in Johannesburg last week. The draft of the AGOA reauthorization would change the annual review of eligibility to an assessment of each country's eligibility status at least once every 3 years. Coons says the long-term extension would provide U.S. businesses with the predictability needed to invest in sub-Saharan Africa at a time when many companies are looking to diversify their supply chains and reduce dependence on China. Under the current law, a country loses its eligibility once it reaches high income status, according to the World Bank's measure of GDP per capita. The AGOA Renewal Act would also allow countries not to lose their eligibility until after they'd maintained high income status for 5 consecutive years. Under Coons' draft legislation, the President would retain the authority to conduct an out-of-cycle review of eligibility of any country at any time. But additionally, the draft requires the U.S. Trade Representative to undertake an immediate out-of-cycle review of South Africa. Republican Senator and ranking member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Risch, wrote a letter earlier this month to administration officials, including the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, expressing concern that South Africa would remain fully eligible for AGOA duty-free trade preferences in 2024, despite what he referred to as the country's actions that subvert U.S. national security and foreign policy interests, including relationships with Russia, Hamas, and Iran. Risch argues that South Africa's relationship with the aforementioned countries undermine necessary eligibility standards in the AGOA statute. In an interview on SAFM this week, Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition Ibrahim Patel said they had raised the possibility of a 2-state renewal and improvement program of AGOA in order to consolidate what they currently have and then sit down to work through how to improve it, as the government seeks to secure continued bipartisan support in the US Congress for its continued eligibility. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.